Architectural Builders Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
I don't know if you're the guy I talked to or somebody else.
Tech support on an existing door?
Yeah, an existing door. I just need to get some parts.
Parts? Yeah, we can help you with parts.
Okay. So I went through the website and I did some checking on it. And if I'm understanding everything correctly, I'm a contractor out in Los Angeles, by the way. So I went through all the motions on it, and this door has had problems on and off. And I've called a couple of different service companies. I don't know. I think that they just don't put the effort in. So I did my own troubleshooting on it and got to the bottom of it. I think that when the door was programmed originally, I think that the guys may not have installed it perfectly and all the rest, and everybody keeps telling me that, well, you have an obstruction, so that means you have something in the track. And I'm like, well, there's no tracks. So I had literally had a guy standing there with me, and he was like, yeah, well, the problem is that the bottom of the door, that door track isn't any good. I'm like, look down there. It doesn't touch the bottom. It's like half an inch off of the ground, and there's no door track. So how can that be a problem? And he's like, well, that's just what it says. I'm like, okay, you're done. So I'm just giving you a little history from frustration, because it's like some of the stuff is completely unreasonable,
Yeah, well, what I find when you see that is it's a problem with the controller.
Right. And so he's telling me that there's something in the, obstructing the door that way. And I'm like, no. And then he tried to then convince me that it was, more of a belt problem. And I'm like, no. But there's that sensor on the end of the motor, right? That it could be. Is that possible?
It could be anything. My guess would be it would be the controller needs to be replaced or rebuilt, but it could be anything. Yeah, if it's telling you that you've got an obstruction and you're like it's impossible, well then, yeah, the controller sounds like it's a bit goofy.
Well, I think I and that's what I got into. So I went through all of your website stuff and everything was great. I think I eventually came to where I think it is down to the encoder. So I was thinking that
right on.
I would just buy an encoder and put that in there, and that should help me. I thought maybe just by reaching out to you guys, you might say, yeah, if you've gone through all those steps and everything functions except the door doesn't ever close, and the only error I'm getting is like an obstruction error, then it seems like that's the encoder.
It's possible.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, is there any other tests that I can make? I mean, is there any, way to bypass something to identify that? Or, I mean, the encoder's not very expensive, so.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Do you have another opening that you can pull the encoder off of and swap it out?
I wish, because I would totally have done that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No. And I don't want to go between clients, right? I mean, that would be bad. I don't.
Yeah. You'll turn one problem into two.
Right. And then I'll own the other one. So
yeah,
I don't want to do that. Yeah. And I think I checked the firmware on it. I don't know if I can do a firmware update, if that helps anything. But I mean, really, that door, it's just on a warehouse, and it's just open close. Doesn't have a lot of activity. In fact, with the whole COVID thing, that building is totally shut down right now. So, not a big deal. But I don't know what information I need to provide you guys to make sure I get the right encoder, or if there was another test that I should run when I go over there today.
Yeah, I can't speak to the latter, but regarding the former, email us photographs and we'll be sure to make sure that you buy the correct encoder.
Okay. So maybe just like a picture of the controller, right? And the motor and all that, right? That's the pictures you want? And
all of that, and then the encoder itself that's on the end.
Yeah, of course. Do I need to do a video or anything like that? I mean,
as much as you are willing to do, we will review. A video is often very nice to have.
Okay. Well, that's kind of why I was calling, is I haven't worked with you guys before, but boy, what I found on your website and everything, I'm like, wow, this is really helpful. This is exactly what I need. And it helped me confirm a few things just to make sure that nothing was wrong, because another guy is like, oh yeah, well your sensors are out. I'm like, well, I'm not getting a sensor error, so that's not it. And he goes, no, it is. I'm like, okay, I don't want to dismiss anybody, because I choose to believe that those guys know more, but sometimes it's like, the guy telling me about the rock underneath in the track, I'm like, there's no track. There's nothing there, and I can move it back and forth freely without it making any sound or even rippling or any of that. It's like, I didn't just fall off the turnip truck, dude. So,
who have you hired to do this work in the past?
Different local companies.
Okay.
And
you probably want to call Stanley directly.
Well, so I had a service contract with Stanley for a long time, but this particular owner doesn't really want to spend that money because Stanley doesn't seem to be very affordable. So, I'm the GC on the job, so it kind of falls to me. And if I tell him that he has to do it, of course he will. But I'm like,
that's what you should be telling him, and here's why. It's mandated by code that those doors are inspected daily and that they are annually audited. The last person who touches that door, all you got to do is do an internet search for, automatic door lawsuit. It happens every day. Grandpa walks in to Home Depot, sees the shiny penny, bends down, and now the door's just hitting him in the head. You're a GC. Your area of skill and expertise is somewhat elsewhere, rather than being a door technician, although it sounds like you could be. So you'll have to pick how deep of obligation to exposure to risk you'd want to do. But Stanley's super expensive. It's just if you can't get reliable service from people not Stanley, and you don't have the time to just really troubleshoot because it's electronics. Look for a short in a 1969 Buick Special. It can be tough.
If you have enough time and patience, you can find it. But
sir.
I'm with you.
And money.
Yeah. Well, like I said, in this case, that building is shut down, so I can understand why he doesn't want to spend money, and he'll gladly spend the money when when things get back to normal. But they've been down for coming up on a year now, and it looks like it's going to be another 6 months. So no reason to have spend any money on that. So I told him I'd look at it, and I did confirm a few things. And like I said, I got frustrated with the two guys that I talked to, and they said they knew what they were doing. They gave me indications they knew what they were doing. But then you guys, there's a tool out there that you can just plug in and just do this all on a GUI interface? Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. There is a programmer, and all that really does is keep you from having to go through the two buttons up and down kind of business.
Right.
It's more convenient to do that. You could do it, 12 feet away from the door rather than up on a ladder.
Right. Well, I guess I was thinking that I was expecting those guys to show up with that tool. The fact that they didn't have it caused me to be like, they're like, well, there's so many different doors and we do so much of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, those are reasonable, So. Yeah,
that's true. But that $100 German set of precision screwdrivers that you look at every time, it's like, I've got my screwdrivers and I really want those German precision ones. So you don't have to have the Bluetooth programmer to work your way around really well with Stanley. So that may or may not be an indication of their skill set.
Okay, well, that's fair. I appreciate you telling me that because I'm like, I don't know. I am the guy that would, if I have to buy a set of screwdrivers and it's my living, I would probably spend the money for that because it's what I do every day. I've had because you're talking about the Riviera, right? I have broken many, not really fingers, but I've torn a lot of skin off my hand with, the Harbor Freight tools until I could afford to buy a nice snap-on tool that doesn't, expand and slip. Right. When you're torquing something down to 150 pounds, you need to have a good solid socket and wrench on there. So, I've learned my lesson that way. So, but yeah, I get it. And it doesn't mean you can't do it many other ways. So, okay. So I'll get some pictures. I'll get a video, a good description, and then I email it to the email on the website here.
Contact us, upper right-hand corner. It's the sales email that's there, and my name is Richard.
Richard, okay, yeah. So
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.